The car lot gleamed under the Arizona sun as I walked through the showroom one last time before heading to the jeweler. 40 years of building Mitchell's Auto Group from a single used car lot into the largest dealership chain in Phoenix, and tomorrow I would celebrate my son's 40th birthday with a party that cost me more than my first inventory. I wanted to give him something special, a Rolex Submariner to match the one his mother gave me on our wedding day. She would have wanted that. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you were listening in the comments. The Scottsdale jewelry store smelled like money and discretion. A young man in an impeccable suit guided me through their collection, his voice hushed as if we were in church. The watch I selected cost $18,000, but Derek deserved it. He had worked alongside me for 15 years, learning the business from the ground up. Soon, I planned to announce his promotion to CEO at tomorrow's party, finally stepping back to enjoy retirement. My phone buzzed in my jacket pocket. I ignored it at first, focused on examining the watch's craftsmanship through the jeweler's loop. The second buzz made me reach for it automatically. The message froze my blood despite the desert heat outside. Don't go to the party tomorrow. They're going to take everything. Run. The number was blocked. I read the words again, then a third time, searching for meaning in their stark warning. The jeweler asked if I was feeling well. I told him I was fine, just wedding memories making me emotional. The lie came easily after decades of business negotiations. I completed the purchase with mechanical efficiency, signing the receipt with a hand that trembled slightly. The Rolex box felt heavier than it should as I carried it to my Cadillac. Who would send such a message? Who wanted me afraid? I tried calling the number. Nothing. Not even voicemail. Just silence that stretched into infinity. The drive back to my house in Paradise Valley took 40 minutes through Thursday afternoon traffic. My mind raced through possibilities while my hands gripped the steering wheel. A competitor trying to sabotage the family celebration? A disgruntled former employee? Some kind of elaborate prank? None of the explanations made sense. My home stood empty and silent, Elena having passed 3 years ago after her battle with cancer. The refrigerator hummed its lonely song while I poured myself 2 fingers of bourbon and stared at my phone. The message remained unchanged, its threat neither clarified nor diminished by the passing hours. At 7:43 that evening, another message arrived. I know you don't trust anonymous warnings, but I have proof. Check into the Phoenician resort tonight. Don't tell anyone. Tomorrow morning, I'll show you everything. My logical mind rebelled against following instructions from a stranger. 67 years of life experience had taught me to demand verification, to require evidence before making decisions. But something in my gut, the same instinct that had guided me through profitable acquisitions and away from bad deals, whispered that I should listen. I packed an overnight bag with the precision of a man who had traveled for business his entire adult life. 1 suit, toiletries, my laptop, and the folder of documents I always kept in my home safe. Financial statements, property deeds, the company's organizational chart. I didn't know why I grabbed them, but the mysterious messenger's words echoed in my mind. Everything. The Phoenician's lobby sparkled with crystal chandeliers and marble floors. I checked into a casita suite overlooking Camelback Mountain, paying cash to avoid a paper trail I couldn't explain. The room cost $800 a night, but privacy was worth any price. Sleep refused to come. I lay in the king-sized bed, watching shadows crawl across the ceiling, while Phoenix glittered through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Derek's birthday party was scheduled for 6 tomorrow evening at the Arizona Biltmore. 200 guests, a live band, catering that cost $14,000. I had planned every detail with the precision I applied to inventory management. Now someone wanted me to abandon it all. My phone rang at 6:15 in the morning. The number was local but unfamiliar. Hello? My voice cracked from sleeplessness and anxiety. Mr. Mitchell, it's been a long time. The voice carried weight and weariness. This is Frank DeLuca. The name hit me like a collision. Frank DeLuca had been my head of finance for 12 years before I fired him 8 years ago. His drinking had gotten out of control, affecting his work, causing errors that cost the company money. We parted badly, lawyers involved, threats exchanged. I hadn't spoken to him since. Frank, why are you contacting me? What is this about? Meet me at the Desert Botanical Garden in 1 hour. The Wildflower Loop Trail. Come alone, bring nothing electronic except your phone. His voice dropped lower. I'm sorry for everything that happened between us, but what I'm about to show you is more important than our history. He hung up before I could respond. The botanical garden opened at 8. I arrived at 7:45, sitting in my Cadillac while early morning joggers passed, and the desert woke around me. Frank appeared exactly at 8, walking toward my car with the careful gait of a man who had learned hard lessons about sobriety. He looked older, grayer, but his eyes held a clarity they had lacked during his final years at my company. We walked in silence until we reached a secluded bench surrounded by saguaros. Frank sat heavily, pulling an envelope from his jacket pocket. 3 weeks ago, I started working as a bookkeeper for Patterson and Associates, small accounting firm in Tempe. His hands shook slightly as he opened the envelope. Your daughter-in-law, Victoria, hired them to handle some private financial matters. She didn't know about our history. What kind of financial matters? Frank pulled out a stack of papers. I wasn't supposed to see these, but one of the junior accountants left them on the copier. When I saw your name, I made copies of my own. The documents made my vision blur. A draft of a petition for conservatorship, naming me as the proposed conservatee. Medical evaluation requests from doctors I had never visited. A preliminary business valuation for Mitchell's Auto Group. And a timeline, handwritten in Victoria's distinctive script, outlining steps to gain control of my assets within 6 months. The petition claimed I was showing signs of dementia, that I had become a danger to myself and the family business, that my son Derek, as my only living relative, should be granted full authority over my finances and healthcare decisions. This is impossible. My voice sounded distant, belonging to someone else. Derek would never do this. Frank's expression held genuine sympathy. There's more. He pulled out his phone. I recorded this 2 days ago, outside Patterson's office. Victoria didn't see me in the parking lot. He pressed play. Victoria's voice filled the Arizona morning, crisp and businesslike. The doctors are lined up. 3 of them will testify that he's been showing memory problems. Derek's been laying the groundwork for months, making comments to employees about his father's confusion, forgetting meetings, repeating himself. By the time the conservatorship hearing happens, everyone will believe it. A male voice responded, one I recognized. My son. Once we have control, how quickly can we sell? Derek asked. The attorneys say 90 days minimum. Victoria's laugh was cold. But the buyer from California is already lined up. $42 million for the whole chain. We split it 3 ways, with Patterson taking his cut for facilitating, and we're in Bermuda by Christmas. I reached for the bench's armrest, my fingers digging into the wood. The man speaking about selling my life's work was my son, the boy I had raised, trained, trusted with everything I had built. He was planning to declare me incompetent and liquidate 4 decades of work for profit. Why are you helping me? The question came out as a whisper. After what happened between us, Frank's jaw tightened. Because you were right to fire me. I was a mess, and I was hurting your company. It took me 5 years of sobriety to accept that. He met my eyes directly. But you also gave me 15 years of good work before that. You paid for my daughter's college when my insurance wouldn't cover it. I never forgot that, even when I was too drunk to say thank you. We sat in silence while hummingbirds darted between red flowers and the sun climbed higher over the McDowell Mountains. My world had collapsed in the span of one audio recording. Everything I thought I knew about my family was a lie. What do I do now? The question sounded pathetic, an old man asking a former employee for guidance. Frank handed me the envelope with all the documents. First, you get your own lawyers. Real ones, not whoever you've been using. I did some checking. Your current attorney, David Chen, has been having private meetings with Victoria for months. He's compromised. The betrayal multiplied. Chen had handled my legal affairs for 20 years. He had drafted my will, structured my business holdings, advised me on every major decision. Now he was conspiring with my daughter-in-law to steal my legacy. Second, you need evidence that you're mentally competent. Get evaluated by doctors they don't control. Build a paper trail proving you're sharp. Frank leaned forward. Third, And this is important. Don't let them know you know. Not yet. Let them think their plan is working while you prepare your response. I spent the next 6 hours in a daze, following Frank's advice with the mechanical precision of a man walking through a nightmare. I called a law firm in Tucson that specialized in elder law and conservatorship defense. They agreed to see me immediately after hearing my situation. The drive to Tucson took 2 hours. I spent them listening to Frank's recording repeatedly, each playback driving the knife deeper. Derek's voice discussing the sale price. Victoria's calculations about timeline. Their casual cruelty toward a man who had given them everything. The Tucson lawyers were efficient and furious on my behalf. Within 3 hours, they had prepared counter-documentation, scheduled independent medical evaluations for the next morning, and begun researching Patterson and Associates for evidence of conspiracy. They also filed preliminary paperwork to freeze any attempts to transfer my assets. You have options, the senior partner told me. You could go to the police right now. Attempted conservatorship fraud is a felony. But if you want maximum impact, if you want to make sure they never try this with anyone else, you need to catch them in the act. What do you mean? He leaned back in his leather chair. Tomorrow's party. 200 witnesses. Let them hang themselves in public. I returned to Phoenix as the sun set, painting the desert in shades of orange and purple. The birthday party was less than 24 hours away. I had decisions to make about how to handle the confrontation, about what kind of father I wanted to be in my final act. The answer came easier than expected. Friday morning brought 3 appointments with independent physicians, all of whom confirmed what I already knew. My cognitive function was excellent for my age. My memory was sharp, my reasoning sound, my mental capacity undiminished. The doctors provided detailed written reports, each one a bullet in the chamber I was building. I also met with a private investigator Frank had recommended. Within hours, he had obtained additional evidence, security footage from Patterson's office, showing Victoria and Derek meeting with accountants. Bank records indicating payments from my daughter-in-law to the doctors who had allegedly evaluated me. Email exchanges between David Chen and Patterson discussing the conservatorship timeline. The conspiracy was vast and well-planned. They had spent months preparing to steal my identity, my money, my independence, all while smiling at family dinners and accepting my generosity. The Arizona Biltmore's grand ballroom looked spectacular. Fresh flowers on every table, a jazz quartet playing standards from my youth, a chocolate fountain that cost more than most people's monthly rent. I had arrived early, watching the staff complete their preparations while I nursed a club soda and waited. Derek and Victoria arrived at 5:30, dressed impeccably, radiating the confidence of people who believed their plan was proceeding perfectly. My son embraced me with enthusiasm that now felt performative. "Dad, this is incredible. You didn't have to do all this." I smiled the way I had smiled through difficult negotiations for 40 years. Anything for my son. Guests began arriving. Business associates, friends, community leaders I had known for decades. They all offered congratulations to Derek, commenting on what a wonderful father he had to throw such an event. I watched Victoria work the room, her charm weaponized, laying groundwork for the concerned daughter-in-law who would reluctantly testify about her father-in-law's declining mental state. At 7:15, I took the stage. The microphone felt familiar in my hand. I had given hundreds of speeches at dealership openings, charity events, industry conferences, but this one would be different. "Thank you all for coming tonight to celebrate my son Derek's 40th birthday." I paused, letting the applause settle. 40 years ago, I held him in my arms and made a promise. I promised to build something he could be proud of, something that would provide for his future and the future of his family. More applause. Derek stood near the front, Victoria's arm linked through his, their smiles wide and anticipatory. Over the past 40 years, Mitchell's Auto Group has grown from one small used car lot into the largest dealership chain in Arizona. I've employed thousands of people, served tens of thousands of customers, and built something lasting. I had always planned to pass this legacy to my son. I let the pause stretch. But plans change. The shift in my tone rippled through the room. Smiles faltered. Guests exchanged confused glances. Derek's expression flickered from pride to uncertainty. 3 days ago, I received an anonymous warning telling me not to attend this party, telling me to run. Like any businessman, I investigated. What I discovered changed everything. I gestured to the audio-visual technician I had hired that afternoon. For the past 6 months, my son and his wife have been working with accountants, lawyers, and doctors to have me declared mentally incompetent. Their plan was to obtain conservatorship over my affairs, sell my company to outside buyers for $42 million, and disappear with the proceeds. The room erupted in murmurs. Derek stepped forward, his face reddening. "Dad, what are you talking about? This is insane. You're clearly confused." I raised my hand, and the recording began to play through the ballroom speakers. Victoria's voice discussing doctors and false testimony. Derek's voice asking about sale timelines. Their laughter at the thought of an old man too confused to notice his own children robbing him. The recording lasted 4 minutes and 37 seconds. By the end, Victoria had collapsed into a chair, and Derek stood frozen, his mouth opening and closing without sound. I have additional evidence. Documents, bank records, security footage. All of it has been submitted to the Maricopa County Prosecutor's Office. I looked at my son, searching for any trace of the boy I had raised. I also have sworn statements from 3 independent physicians confirming my complete mental competency. David Chen, my former attorney, tried to slip toward the exit. 2 men in suits I had positioned there blocked his path. Mr. Chen has been participating in this conspiracy for months. He violated his fiduciary duty and betrayed a 20-year professional relationship. He's been reported to the state bar and will face criminal charges alongside my daughter-in-law and son. The silence in the ballroom was absolute. 200 people stood in frozen tableau, witnesses to a family's destruction. Tonight was supposed to be a celebration of Derek's 40th birthday. Instead, it's become something else. A lesson about greed and betrayal. A reminder that some things matter more than money. I took a deep breath. As of this moment, Derek Mitchell is terminated from all positions at Mitchell's Auto Group. He and Victoria are disinherited from my estate. The company I built will be placed in a charitable trust, funding scholarships for students pursuing careers in automotive technology. Derek finally found his voice. "Dad, please, we can explain. It's not what you think." I played your own words to 200 people. I stepped down from the stage, approaching my son for the final time. "I know exactly what it is. You and Victoria planned to steal 40 years of my work. You were going to lock your own father away, declare him incompetent, and disappear with the money." I met his eyes. "The only thing that surprises me is how badly I misjudged you." Victoria stood, her face twisted with rage. "You had no right. Those recordings were private. You can't use them against us." My Tucson attorney stepped forward. "Actually, Arizona is a one-party consent state. The recordings are entirely admissible, and given the overwhelming evidence of conspiracy to commit elder abuse and financial fraud, I expect the prosecution to be vigorous." 2 police officers appeared at the ballroom entrance. They had been waiting in a service corridor, coordinating with my legal team. Derek and Victoria watched them approach, the reality of their situation finally penetrating. The arrests happened quickly and efficiently. My son's hands were cuffed behind his back while guests watched in stunned silence. Victoria screamed accusations as officers led her away, her designer dress incongruous against the institutional grip of law enforcement. David Chen was arrested separately, his face blank with shock as his career collapsed around him. I stood in the center of the ballroom I had rented for a celebration that never happened. The jazz quartet had stopped playing. The chocolate fountain burbled obscenely. 200 people stared at me, unsure whether to offer condolences or congratulations. Frank DeLuca appeared at my elbow, his presence a reminder that loyalty could survive even years of separation. "You okay?" His voice was gentle. "Not even close." I looked around the ruined party, but I will be. The next weeks brought lawyers and prosecutors and media attention I never wanted. Derek and Victoria were charged with conspiracy to commit elder abuse, financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult, and fraud. David Chen faced additional charges related to breach of fiduciary duty and obstruction of justice. The doctors who had agreed to provide false testimony lost their medical licenses. Patterson and Associates was shut down pending investigation. The buyer from California, a legitimate businessman who had been deceived about the circumstances of the sale, withdrew all offers and cooperated with prosecutors. I sold Mitchell's Auto Group 6 months later, but on my terms. The buyer was a consortium of longtime employees who had earned the right to own what they had helped build. The sale price was $38 million, and every penny went into the charitable trust I had created. The scholarship program launched the following spring. Its first recipient was a young man from South Phoenix whose single mother had worked at my dealership for 15 years. He planned to study automotive engineering at Arizona State. Derek received 7 years. Victoria received 5. They served their sentences in different facilities, their marriage ending somewhere between arraignment and conviction. I never visited, never responded to their letters, never acknowledged their existence. Some betrayals cannot be forgiven, and pretending otherwise would dishonor the truth. Frank became a regular presence in my life. We met for coffee every Wednesday, two men who had once been adversaries discovering they could be friends. His sobriety held strong, his daughter thrived in her career, and his willingness to risk everything to warn me had created a debt I could never fully repay. On the 1-year anniversary of the party that destroyed my family, I sat on my patio watching the sunset paint Camelback Mountain in shades of gold and crimson. Elena's photograph sat on the table beside me, her smile unchanged by time or tragedy. "I hope you understand why I had to do it," I told her image. "I hope you forgive me for not seeing what our son had become." The desert wind carried no answer, but I felt peace settling into my bones. I had lost my son to greed and ambition, but I had saved my legacy from corruption. I had been betrayed by the people I trusted most, but I had discovered unexpected loyalty in someone I had wronged. Life rarely delivers the endings we expect. Sometimes the greatest gift is simply the chance to write our own conclusion, to face betrayal with dignity, and to transform destruction into something meaningful. The scholarship students would carry my name forward. The employees would build on what I had started. And somewhere, perhaps, another elderly person facing exploitation would hear this story and recognize the signs before it was too late. That was enough. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Frank DeLuca visited me again just yesterday, and what he told me this time made me grateful all over again that some friendships can survive anything, even 8 years of silence and regret.